To repossess a space, an idea, or a concept, for me, that means to embody power in a different way.
Repossess is to take back what has been devalued, to reposition, reimagine, recontextualize.
I think in this context, Repossessions is about transformation. It's about transforming a pre-existing idea and adding that other layer to the other story.
Repossessions is an exhibition, and it's inspired by the idea of reparations. And here I'm defining reparations as efforts to repair the economic and psychological devastation caused by slavery for descendants of African Americans who were enslaved. I'm interested in thinking through what happens when an object from a white person's archive goes into the hands of an African American artist. How does the meaning change when an object in a white archive really is speaking about the history of Black people, and then a contemporary Black person gets to do something to bring those voices out into the public?
This piece is called Chattel, and it's the W.H. Paxton ledger, and I just present like a reproduction of the ledger, and I present it in like an old antique frame that's a 100-year-old frame. I also have these shackles that are a part of it that are the like interactive part of the piece. So asking the viewer to touch shackles that look like they are from the time period of enslavement, I think was important because I wanted the viewer to touch these cold steel aged shackles and produce a sound. I worked with another artist, singer named Lee Alonzo, and I wrote a little, I guess I would call it like a little chant that would be played or that would be triggered by these shackles when you touch them. What the people on this ledger, these names that are on there, they're all human beings. And so imagining myself in their place, how would I cope with this condition of enslavement?
The title of the work is Surreal Plantation. And the essence of the work is to really explore plantation culture. It's to look at it from the lens of Afro-surrealism, Afrofuturism, which blends Black history, technology, science. All of those things are in the context of that reimagination of the original photo. The objective of my work is to reimagine and juxtapose history and speculative future.
For the exhibition Repossessions, I was commissioned to work with Confederate currency. It was really eerie because I collect money from all over the world and I'm fascinated with it. I didn't even know Confederate money existed. I didn't know that it was printed. When I found out that Sarah Eisner had this money and, it was sent to me, it was in this small box that said Savannah, Georgia on it. And when I opened it, it had some cotton on top of it. I remember just having to take a really deep breath and just feel the weight, because they were folded up as if they had been in someone's pockets. While I was doing this work, I was channeling a lot of energy from Harriet Tubman. And so the names of the pieces are Harriet's Reprisal. One is called The Explosion, and another one is called The Deluge.
It's called A Strange and Bitter Crop. It is a map of a rice plantation. There's a lot of things happening simultaneously. It's like, first of all, it's information. It's a historical narrative. And also then, it's also a record of trauma. So I'm thinking about a lot of design techniques and things like that, but I'm also thinking about content and history and purpose.
The piece that I did for this show is called Uhuru. Uhuru is a Swahili term that means freedom. The item that they gave me was a slave ledger. And to see that and to know what it was actually all about was really pretty remarkable. One of the things that I noticed when I looked at the ledger was I saw my mother's name, not that she was a part of that, but her name was Lizzie. And I saw that on the ledger. I also had a brother named Charles. I saw his name on the ledger. They were not slaves, of course, but it just reminded me that if they had not left Africa, this would not have been their name, essentially. The people were sold as slaves, and to see the prices, the gender for both men, women, and children, and to see the amount of money that was given for them was really an impactful thing to be able to observe from the ledger. The essence of the work is basically remembering what has happened. The item that I used was a bird called Sankofa, and it's basically about remembering the past so that you have some idea of the future. If you don't know where you come from, you really don't know who you are.
I'm working with a photograph that was inherited by a descendant of a family that enslaved other human beings. The photograph is of a woman. It's a small photo, about 3 by 5 or 4 by 6. And the way that I felt when I laid my eyes on the photograph for the first time really determined how I approached working on this particular portrait based on the photograph. The woman's expression, her gaze, her facial features, her pose, the way that she inhabits her body is really powerful. What came across to me in that photo through this woman's gaze across generations was really our determination as a people, our resilience as a people, and this is how we survived. So I didn't feel angry at all. I was in awe of this woman who lived 100 and some odd years ago, speaking to me across time to tell me how we thrived.
I also think about repossessions as in an object being taken back because payments were not made on it, that there's something about a kind of fraud. And I think about that in economic terms, but then apply that to this idea of Black lives and Black history being in white archives without the perspectives of African American people being part of that object and its history.
It was the image of the cotton pickers that just really hit me in a way that I hadn't experienced before working on a project. The faces were erased, and it's like, oh my God, the erasure is so much about us, our ancestors, and how people want to erase our history. But, all those things came to mind when I was working on it, and how I was experiencing this really serious emotional crisis in trying to come up with an idea.
The Repossessions exhibition is a major initiative of the Reparations Project, and what they hope to accomplish through this exhibition is cultivating more awareness about the possibilities of what reparations can be, and really the hope that viewers will be touched in some way and moved to be involved with the reparations movement by experiencing the works of art. To expand the vision for Repossessions, Sarah Eisner of the Reparations Project collaborated with Lottie Dula of Reparations for Slavery, and both of their reparations projects are featured in the PBS documentary called The Cost of Inheritance. Sarah provided the plantation map and Confederate bills from her family archive, and Lottie contributed her ancestor W.H. Paxton's plantation ledger. Their hope is that more white families step forward with these kinds of archival materials to join this very bold truth-telling process.
I feel that each object in Repossessions that each artist has been partnered up with, it's not a coincidence, and it was really meant for each person to do this renegotiation. During this pivotal moment that we're in and within our society, for us to all collectively receive these items that are so loaded and so intense and life-changing within themselves, I feel really honored, or we're all doing something karmic together.
It's a beautiful opportunity to juxtapose these creative minds, the work of the creative minds, to launch greater conversations about reparations, that it's not only structural, but it's, visual. So we sort of gained this visual sovereignty.
It was kind of refreshing, like that somebody like outside of my immediate community was also thinking about their history and their family's history in this sort of generational trauma. And so somebody to actually come up to me and say, this is yours, do what you want with it. I've read about your practice, I see what you do. Transform this object to actually speak on it.
When you think about the tens of trillions of dollars of unpaid labor and the theft of Black wealth post-emancipation, my artwork is very, very, very small and only symbolic, thinking about reparations as a whole and what Black people are due by this country. The fact that private individuals are making a gesture toward repair with this work is very important. The fact that artists are involved and were essentially commissioned to create this work is very important, and visualizing history is important, especially during a time when our history is being aggressively erased.
I hope that when viewers come to see the exhibition, they'll learn something about how capacious the issue of reparations can be, that it's not only about legal change, it's not even only about a larger social change, it's about what individual people can do about a history that they're implicated by and impacted by. I'm really hoping that when people see Repossessions, they will start to have a conversation with people in their family, their children, their parents, their cousins, or even strangers who are in the gallery with them.